All right, y'all. We are back with our Q&A Wednesday of the month. The question that was posed is, how does your upbringing affect your success? So we are going to jump right back into our video that we were listening to, and then we are going to discuss it. All right.
And improve their network. On the other hand, kids who grew up in a harsh environment and ended up becoming victims of one or two circumstances would like to view the world as a wicked and cruel place to be. They're likely to grow up with a survival mentality because all that matters to them is being able to feed themselves and their immediate family. They'll likely believe that the world is a place of struggle and you need to go through so many rough times to become successful. They might even believe that financial freedom is not attainable until you have come of age. According to an article from the Annual Review of Psychology, social class determines attitudes that people develop towards success. Kids of higher income parents tend to learn how to become self-made from a young age. Their parents encourage them to follow their dreams. They may give them the tools and support to pursue various interests, to think creatively, to work independently, and to take initiatives. Kids from less wealthy families, on the other hand, tend to emphasize the need to work so hard because they believe there is pride in hardship. Hence, they let their children figure out their limits on their own. As a result, they are not aware of leadership skills and tend to do what they are told without taking risks or stepping out of their comfort zone. Summary: our childhood affects our success in life because 1. It is during our childhood days that our money blueprint is formed. Money blueprint is formed by how we are made to perceive money, whether as something good or as something bad, whether it's difficult to get or something that can be gotten easily. 2. Our core beliefs about ourselves are formed in childhood. For instance, what we perceive ourselves to be, either kind, smart, likable, and the likes, can go a long way in affecting how we treat people and how we make certain decisions. 3. Our childhood also helps us form our core beliefs about the world. Is the world a safe place to be? Is struggling a part of life? Can money be made easily? And the likes. 4. The social status of our parents determine whether or not we believe in financial freedom and how quickly we can achieve it. Thank you very much for watching our videos. I'd like to give you another interesting video for you to enjoy next. But before then, our team will be very happy if you can like this video and share it with your friends.
All right. So that was 1 minute, y'all. Okay. So that video was from the Money TV network, and basically was talking about how your childhood affects your success in life. Now, they brought up some good points, and some of those points, it says that a way to help your community is by serving, by giving others and giving what you have to the community. So learning how you can help others with what you already have can be a level of success. And a lot of people who consider themselves successful say that that in order for them to get more, they give more, right? So give in order to receive. Also, the money blueprint is something that they talked about in this video, where it's basically the blueprint is how you respond to money, your mindset around it. And just a little extra in there is on Netflix there is a show called How to Get Rich, and it's not really necessarily how the title is, but it definitely gives you a blueprint on how you think about money. So if you are somebody that likes to watch different things, different videos, different movies or things of that nature, definitely check that out on Netflix. There's a financial advisor, Ramit, who does a great job at breaking down the differences between certain things and how to learn to look at money differently. Also, in the video, it talked about how lower status families, like, you basically want to go harder because they had it harder. And honestly, working for something makes you appreciate it more than being given something. And also, learning the belief system that you grew up in affects how you look at the world, right? So the core beliefs of yourself that's formed in childhood, the core beliefs of the world was formed in childhood, and also the social status of your parents can affect how you view money. So if you just look at the relationship that your family or how you grew up, how they had the relationship with money, to see how if you at any point adopted any of those beliefs or any of those habits that you've seen, they all affect you in different ways. But that's something that I wanted us to really focus on, because it's going to affect you one way or the other, right? You just have to learn how to make it work for you. And your upbringing can either cause you to be a victim of it, or you could be a victor over it. But it all depends on what you look at as success, how you want to get there. It really depends on you. But you can respond in the comments how your upbringing affects your success. And we're going to move on to the next video. And this is Bo Eason. And he talks about the environment and how it affects your success level. And if you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know. Don't want it to be, I don't want to go too fast.
I want to talk to you today about environment, your environment. I had a mentor when I was younger and taught me one of the most important lessons that I ever learned in my whole life, which I still hold true today. And the lesson was this: you must be willing to destroy everything in your life that is not excellent. Sounds harsh, doesn't it? You must be willing to destroy everything in your life that is not excellent. It sounds so hard, right? So tough, right? But consider this. Consider why you were born. Why are you here? What is your birthright? What is your obligation to that birthright? We were put on this earth to be the best. We've talked about this over and over again. So often, people opt for fitting in to their environment rather than being loyal and obligated to their birthright, to being the best. You must surround yourself with people who see greatness in you. A lot of times, I'll work with people over a weekend, and they'll go home. After the weekend, they'll reintegrate themselves into their homes and their communities and their workplaces, and they'll get pushback from people because they've seen something, they've talked about something in an environment that was committed to being the best. You were surrounded by people who saw only greatness in you and expected it from you. And then when you get home, you get pushback because people aren't used to having that conversation. Those people, my argument is, are far from their nature. They're disconnected to their own natural disposition. Because our natural disposition is to achieve, is to be the best, is to survive. That's our natural disposition. It is natural for us to be the best and then protect that lineage of being the best. So I want you to think about your environment right now. Right now. Think about your home environment. Right? Is that equivalent to you being the best? Now, think about your work environment, the office, the field, the stage, your working environment, is that equivalent to you being the best in the world at your job? Think about your relationships. Think about the distractions that you have in your life. They might be social, they might be TV, it might be distracting yourself, self-medicating yourself in some way. That's your environment. Is your environment right now, take inventory right now. Is that environment equal to you being the best in the world at what you do? This is what I want you to do. If it's not, you have to start extricating yourself from that environment. You must build an environment of people who only see greatness in you and support the change and the behavior that you're going to make. This new mindset that you have. And it's not new, it's natural. They're the ones who are disconnected with their nature. You're the one who has nature on your side. My dad always told us, surround yourself with people who see greatness in you. He built an environment around my family where being the best was expected. In fact, second place wasn't even, we didn't count second place. We didn't think about it. It wasn't in our environment. So what environment are you creating for your employees, for your family, for the people in your community? And then, what is the environment they're creating for you? If they're not creating the one that takes you to the very top, then you get out of it. You won't even have to get out of it. What happens is people around you who are committed to mediocrity will begin to leave you. Who are you going to have a conversation with about this dream that you have? To achieve the top level in your field. That's a very lonely position, but it's okay because it's natural and you have nature on your side. And know that you're going to be alone and know that you're going to get some pushback. And every time you're alone and every time you get pushback, guess what? That's proof that you're on the right path. That is proof in the work that we do. Anytime someone goes, well, who are you to be the best? That's conceited. That's bragging. Oh, really? Look, I was born, the day I was conceived, there was 300 million sperm released. And who won that race? I did. You did. So you tell me who's the best. You were the best way before I met you. Okay? So no one can tell me that that's being conceited and that's being, bragging. It's not. It's what you're born to be. Your environment must be equivalent to the best. Start to eliminate all in your life that is not excellent. And being the best is the best. You know why? Because it's the only market that's not crowded. So today, clean up your environment so that it's equivalent to you reaching the levels you want to reach. And if it's not, leave it. Let them go. Because they're committed to something you're not. They're committed to mediocrity. I don't want any part of it. I don't want my kids to have any part of that. Not interested. Okay? So clean up your environment. Be the best. It's the only market that's not crowded. I'll see you next time.
All right. So again, that was Bo Eason. And he talked about how your environment affects your success. And, he talked about how we basically are born to be great, right? He said his mentor told him you must be willing to destroy everything in your life that is not excellent. And that we have gotten away from our nature and our disposition, which is to succeed, which is to be the best and to protect our lineage so that they can be the best. To build an environment with people who only see the good in you and to get away from those that don't. And then also, being at the top, being the best is a lonely position, but it's where you're meant to be, right? So how your environment shapes your success Your environment is very important because whatever you feed is going to grow. And if you're feeding mediocrity, if you're feeding low energy, if you're feeding into all those things, that's what you're going to get. You can only get what you put in. All right, so I hope y'all get something from this. We're going to move right along to our next video, and it is talking about how your income can affect childhood brain development. So we are going to jump into this, and of course you could put your comments, your thoughts in the chat, because we want to hear from you. Okay.
What I'm about to share with you are findings from a study of the brains of more than 1,000 children and adolescents. Now, these were children who were recruited from diverse homes around the United States, and this picture is an average of all of their brains. The front of this average brain is on your left, and the back of this average brain is on your right. Now, one of the things we were very interested in was the surface area of the cerebral cortex, or the thin, wrinkly layer on the outer surface of the brain that does most of the cognitive heavy lifting. And that's because past work by other scientists has suggested that in many cases, a larger cortical surface area is often associated with higher intelligence. Now, in this study, we found one factor that was associated with the cortical surface area across nearly the entire surface of the brain. That factor was family income. Now here, every point you see in color is a point where higher family income was associated with a larger cortical surface area in that spot. And there were some regions, shown here in yellow, where that association was particularly pronounced. And those are regions that we know support a certain set of cognitive skills. Language skills like vocabulary and reading, as well as the ability to avoid distraction and exert self-control. And that's important because those are the very skills that children living in poverty are most likely to struggle with. In fact, a child living with poverty is likely to perform worse on tests of language and impulse control before they even turn 2. Now, there are a few points I'd like to highlight about this study. Number 1, this link between family income and children's brain structure was strongest at the lowest income levels. So that means that dollar for dollar, relatively small differences in family income were associated with proportionately greater differences in brain structure among the most disadvantaged families. And intuitively that makes sense, right? An extra $20,000 for a family earning, say, $150,000 a year would certainly be nice, but probably not game-changing. Whereas an extra $20,000 for a family only earning $20,000 a year would likely make a remarkable difference in their day-to-day lives. Now, the second point I'd like to highlight is that this link between family income and children's brain structure didn't depend on the children's age, it didn't depend on their sex, and it didn't depend on their race or ethnicity. And the final point, and this one's key, there was tremendous variability from one child to the next. By which I mean there were plenty of children from higher income homes with smaller brain surfaces, and plenty of children from lower income homes with larger brain surfaces. Here's an analogy. We all know that in childhood, boys tend to be taller than girls, but go into any elementary school classroom and you'll find some girls who are taller than some boys. So while growing up in poverty is certainly a risk factor for a smaller brain surface, in no way can I know an individual child's family income and know with any accuracy what that particular child's brain would look like. I want you to imagine for a moment 2 children. One is a young child born into poverty in America. The other is also an American child, but one who was born into more fortunate circumstances. Now at birth, we find absolutely no differences in how their brains work. But by the time those 2 kids are ready to start kindergarten, we know that the child living in poverty is likely to have cognitive scores that are on average 60% lower than those of the other child. Later on, that child living in poverty will be 5 times more likely to drop out of high school. And if she does graduate high school, she'll be less likely to earn a college degree. By the time those 2 kids are 35 years old, if the first child spent her entire childhood living in poverty, she is up to 75 times more likely to be poor herself. But it doesn't have to be that way. As a neuroscientist, one of the things I find most exciting about the human brain is that our experiences change our brains. Now, this concept, known as neuroplasticity, means that these differences in children's brain structure don't doom a child to a life of low achievement. The brain is not destiny. And if a child's brain can be changed, then anything is possible. Now, as a society, we spend billions of dollars each year educating our children. So what can we tell schools, teachers, and parents who want to help support kids from disadvantaged backgrounds to do their best in school and in life? Well, emerging science suggests that growing up in poverty is associated with a host of different experiences, and that these experiences in turn may work together to help shape brain development and ultimately how kids learn. And so if this is right, it begs the question as to where along this pathway can we step in and provide help? So let's consider first intervening at the level of learning itself, most commonly through school-based initiatives. Now, should we be encouraging teachers to focus on the kinds of skills that disadvantaged kids are most likely to struggle with? Of course. The importance of high-quality education based in scientific evidence really can't be overstated. And there are a number of examples of excellent interventions targeting things like literacy or self-regulation that do in fact improve kids' cognitive development and their test scores. But as any intervention scientist doing this work would tell you, this work is challenging. It's hard to implement high-quality evidence-based education. And it can be labor-intensive, it's sometimes costly. And in many cases, these disparities in child development emerge early, well before the start of formal schooling, sometimes when kids are just toddlers. And so I would argue school is very important. But if we're focusing all of our policy efforts on formal schooling, we're probably starting too late. So what about taking a step back and focusing on trying to change children's experiences? What particular experiences are associated with growing up in poverty and might be able to be targeted to promote brain development and learning outcomes for kids? Well, of course there are many, right? Nutrition, access to healthcare, exposure to secondhand smoke or lead, experience of stress or discrimination, to name a few. In my laboratory, we're particularly focused on a few types of experiences that we believe may be able to be targeted to promote children's brain development and ultimately improve their learning outcomes. As one example, take something I'll call the home language environment, by which I mean we know that the number of words kids hear and the number of conversations they're engaged in every day can vary tremendously. By some estimates, kids from more advantaged backgrounds hear an average of 30 million more spoken words in the first few years of life compared to kids from less advantaged backgrounds. Now, in our work, we're finding that kids who experience more back and forth, responsive conversational turns tend to have a larger brain surface in parts of the brain that we know are responsible for language and reading skills. And in fact, the number of conversations they hear seems to matter a little bit more than the sheer number of words they hear. So one tantalizing possibility is that we should be teaching parents not just to talk a lot, but to actually have more conversations with their children. In this way, it's possible that we'll promote brain development and perhaps their kids' language and reading skills. And in fact, a number of scientists are testing that exciting possibility right now. But of course, we all know that growing up in poverty is associated with lots of different experiences beyond just how many conversations kids are having. So how do we choose what else to focus on? The list can be overwhelming. Now, there are a number of high-quality interventions that do try to change children's experience, many of which are quite effective. But again, just like school-based initiatives, this is hard work. It can be challenging, it can be labor-intensive, sometimes costly. And on occasion, it can be somewhat patronizing for scientists to swoop in and tell a family what they need to change in order for their child to succeed. So, I want to share an idea with you. What if we tried to help young children in poverty by simply giving their families more money.
It's time for me to get set up for therapy, and I use this room.
Social policy experts and neuroscientists in Leading Babies' First Years, the first ever randomized study to test whether poverty reduction causes changes in children's brain development. Now, the ambition of this study is large, but the premise is actually quite simple. In May of 2018, we began recruiting 1,000 mothers living below the federal poverty line shortly after they gave birth in a number of American hospitals. Now, upon enrolling in our study, all mothers receive an unconditional monthly cash gift for the first 40 months of their children's lives, and they're free to use this money however they like. But importantly, mothers are being randomized. So some mothers are randomized to receive a nominal monthly cash gift, and others are randomized to receive several $100s each month, an amount that we believe is large enough to make a difference in their day-to-day lives, in most cases increasing their monthly income by 20 to 25%. So in this way, we're hoping to finally move past questions of how poverty is correlated with child development and actually be able to test whether reducing poverty causes changes in children's cognitive, emotional, and brain development in the first 3 years of life, the very time when we believe the developing brain may be most malleable to experience. Now, we won't have definitive results from this study for several years, and if nothing else, 1,000 newborns and their moms will have a bit more cash each month that they tell us they very much need. But what if it turns out that a cost-effective way to help young children in poverty is to simply give their moms more money? If our hypotheses are borne out, it's our hope that results from this work will inform debates about social services that have the potential to affect millions of families with young children. Because while income may not be the only or even the most important factor in determining children's brain development, it may be one that, from a policy perspective, can be easily addressed. Put simply, if we can show that reducing poverty changes how children's brains develop, and that leads to meaningful policy changes, then a young child born into poverty today may have a much better shot at a brighter future. Thank you.
All right. So that was Kimberly Noble, and she broke down the scientific neurology and how all of that affects the childhood brain development, how income affects that. And one thing that she said that was really interesting is that how growing up in poverty can affect your brain development, and that for those in a lower income status, 60% had lower, their cognitive scores were 60% lower than those who were not from low income statuses, and they were 5 times more likely to drop out of high school, and 75 times more likely to be poor when they became an adult. So how you grow up as a child definitely does affect how you live. And honestly, like I said, you can either be a victim of it or you could be a victor over it. So some people who have grown up in poor environments, they strive their very best to make sure they don't end up that way when they grow up. Some of them feel like, oh, this is just how I'm born to be. And that affects how they look at the world as well. And she also said that the brain or your brain is not destiny. So the 4 things that she talked about was, having growing up in poverty, the experiences that you have, your brain development, and also what you learn. So all of these affect how you look at money, affect your success level, and also having that environment is very important when it comes to wanting to be successful. And going back to the question that was posed is, how does your upbringing affect your success? And it affects it, it's either going to affect it in a positive or negative way, but it also depends on how you respond to what you are being affected by, right? So if you are focusing on all the negative and how you didn't have the silver spoon and how all these things didn't happen for you, um, that's what you're going to attract. Whatever you feed on is what is going to become more prevalent in your life. But if you're feeding on, you know what, even though this didn't work out for me, I'm still going to make things happen. I'm going to work, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Having a plan, sticking to it, all of these things will make for a better outcome for your life. All right, so we are going to move into our last video of the day. Then we're going to do a recap, and that will close us out for today. So our next person is Carson Byblow, and he talks about the mindset of a champion. So in order for you to be successful, you have to change the way that you think, because nothing changes if nothing changes. And if you have the mindset of, I'm going to be this way the rest of my life, your thoughts determine your words, and your words determine your habits determine your lifestyle. So if you don't start here and change it here, nothing else is going to change. All right, so we are going to get into him. And again, you can add any comments that you would like in the comment section that you want to share about how your upbringing affected your success. For me personally, I grew up in a pretty good environment to where my outlook on success is, I don't have to work for somebody else. I can work for myself. I could become successful if I put the work in. If I do my best, then I'll get whatever is meant for me. And what's meant for me is not going to miss me. So if there's opportunities that don't happen for me, it just wasn't for me, but everybody doesn't think the way that I think, So focusing on how, success looks to you based on how you grew up. And some people who didn't have anything, they strive hard to get everything. They work for everything. They want to earn that. That's a great quality to have. Being told no multiple times and not letting that stop you from getting what you need, that's a great quality to have. Seeing how other people in your family might have spent money, how you might have adapted those qualities and didn't even realize it, affects how you look at success. Are you used to saving? Are you used to penny pinching? Are you used to spending as soon as you get it? Are your pockets, do they seem to have holes in them? All of these affect, and that goes back to your relationship with money, because how you perceive money and how you perceive success determines your level. All right, so we're going to jump right into this.
Michael Jordan has said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots, lost almost 300 games, and 26 times I've been trusted to make the game-winning shot and missed. I fail over and over and over again, and that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan is one of the most famous basketball players in the world, though he was not always a star. He didn't make his high school basketball team because he was too short and wasn't good enough. He could have quit, but instead he had the mindset to continue and get better. He was practicing each day before most people were even out of bed. And because of this, he not only made the team the following year, but he went on to become the greatest player of all time and a true champion. The question that comes to our mind is, can we all learn to have a mindset of a champion? A mindset is a word describing how we think. There are two types of mindsets. 1, a growth mindset, and 2, a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is when somebody believes they can learn to be good and they can learn to get better. They are not afraid of challenges. They continue when things get hard. They know that they have put effort in to learn, and they learn from criticism. They are also inspired by people who do well. Michael Jordan has this trait, though another person with a growth mindset is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He was cut from the Canadian Football League early on in his career. He could have quit, but instead he worked very hard, faced many challenges, and is now a super famous movie star, one of my favorite. Did you know that coaches and professional scouts look for athletes who don't just have skill? They want someone who wants to learn, who is coachable, and will give 100% effort in practices. They want someone with a growth mindset. What they don't want is somebody who thinks they are already good enough, they don't need to learn, and are not coachable. These people have a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is the opposite of a growth. These people either think they're born good or born not so good. They cannot learn. They are afraid of challenges. They give up and get defensive easily. They feel criticized when given feedback and are threatened by people who do well. Which mindset do you think I have? Well, let me tell you a story. Reading has always been hard for me, and even now I still find it challenging. From kindergarten to 4th grade, I was always a bit below grade level in reading. So each night, I read aloud to my parents to try to get better. This was always the worst part of my day. Whenever I was reading, I would of course make mistakes, misread words, say words that weren't there, miss words that were there, and miss punctuation. Normal. But whenever my mom or dad tried to correct me, I'd get upset. I told them that they were wrong and sometimes even have a meltdown. This happened from my friends and teachers and with other subjects and activities too. I thought that I should know how to do everything already, and if I didn't, I would get upset. I thought that what my teachers were teaching should come to me easy. Well, guess what? Some of the things I was learning or reading were not easy. I would get upset. Negative thoughts came into my mind. You suck. You can't do anything. This should be so easy. Suddenly, I felt tears coming down my face in front of my friends and teachers too. In my head, I'm saying, no, please, no. I could no longer control my emotions. This is where the real problem begins. You see, I lose control of my emotions, I stop listening, and I stop thinking. I become difficult to those around me. And when I finally get through it, I am very tired. This is not healthy, and it's not the person I want to be. I want to know why I was feeling this way and why my emotions were so strong. Well, this year, in 5th grade, was the first year I was able to answer these questions. I learned what a growth and fixed mindset are. I'm learning how to change my fixed mindset into a growth mindset and have a mindset of a champion. I believe we can have both of these mindsets, a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. I believe this because I have both. I have a growth mindset with things like soccer, basketball, change, and learning new languages. I also believe we can change our fixed mindset into a growth mindset and have a mindset of a champion. Well, maybe not a champion like Michael Jordan, but a champion in our own way. We may just need a little help to do this. My dad and I read this book called Mindsets, written by Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck is a professor and professional psychologist who researched and came up with the idea of a growth and fixed mindset. Her book told me that I was not the only one who has a fixed mindset from time to time. However, the best advice I ever got was from my teacher and school counselor. Their advice was a one little 3-letter word. This word was yet. They told me always put the word yet at the end of my sentence. I can't do it. I can't do it yet. I don't understand. I don't understand yet. The word yet makes me feel I just need to put a little more effort in before I understand it. I still struggle with a fixed mindset from time to time. However, I now know why I get frustrated and upset. For any of you out there who may have a fixed mindset from time to time, please know that I am proof that you can beat it. Writing this talk, I struggled the whole time, though every day I've gotten a little better than the day before. This is why I can say I'm winning, because I'm here in front of you now today. Thank you.
All right, had to get the youth up in there because we are talking about how your upbringing affects your childhood. So this was again Carson Byblow, and he was talking about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. When you have a fixed mindset, nothing can change your mind. Very stubborn. You don't want to hear anything. You get combative, defensive, emotional. You're afraid of challenges, and you're threatened by people who do well. With the growth mindset, you are more willing to thrive. You're willing to be coachable. You're looking to learn, and and that's all a part of growth. And he said that Michael Jordan said, "I failed over and over and over again, and that's why I succeed." Success includes failure, and a lot of people don't realize that the more successful you see somebody, the more they've been through and the more things they've had to overcome. So just to recap, Barack Obama talked about his 10 rules of success, which is to move the ball forward, to have hope, don't get complacent, to stay focused, not to do it alone, to commit to something bigger, not to make excuses, to not to take yourself too seriously, stick to the plan and follow your passion, just knowing that your body of work is never done. So there's never going to be a point where you're like, oh, I made it, because there's always something to be done. Now, no one cares about your upbringing. No one cares about the things that you've been through, because people prior to you have been through worse. Also, learning how you can help others with what you have now, serving your way to the top, giving so that you can receive, is certainly something that I've heard many successful people talk about when it comes to their level of success. It said that they've gotten way more when they've given more. Having a money blueprint, how you respond to money, your relationship with money, how lower status families end up going harder, wanting to get more because, they didn't really have it. And then also the core beliefs of yourself, the core beliefs about the world, and your social status of your parents affects your childhood and affects your level and your thinking when it comes to success. Also, being willing to destroy everything in your life that is not excellent, knowing that your nature is to be the best, is to succeed and to protect the lineage that you have so that they could be the best, and building an environment with people who see the good in you and getting rid of anyone and anything that goes against that. Then also being at the top level is going to be a lonely road, but is where you're supposed to be, and that you were born to be the best. Then also when it comes to the cognitive aspect of it, your brain development, those who are from lower income families, their cognitive scores were 60% lower than the average. They were 5 times more likely to drop out of school and 75 times more likely to be poor themselves when they got to adulthood. And also the neuroplasticity of your brain, that says the brain is not your destiny, which means you control your destiny. You control whether or not you are successful based on whether or not you were living in poverty, your experiences growing up, your brain development, and also your learning and how you've contributed to your own success or failure. And then also knowing that failure is a part of success, and you can either have a growth mindset when it comes to being successful, learning to take criticism, being teachable, willing to grow, willing to learn, and being coachable, as opposed to having a fixed mindset, which you're stubborn, you get frustrated, you don't like feedback, you're afraid of challenges, and you're threatened by people who do well. And also, putting the word yet after each sentence will help you to strive harder to get those things that you actually want. And the book that was recommended was Mindsets by Carol Dweck. All right, so that is pretty much all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check out the previous live that was posted a little bit earlier. We had to come back on, but I thank you and I appreciate you all for just rocking out with us, and for for being here. Just a few announcements before we close it on up is Showcase Your Talent Show is this Sunday, the 28th from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. Our theme for this month is May I Spit My Art. And we have contestant spots available for your chance to win $100. We also have feature spots if you just want to share your art but you don't want to compete. We have sponsor spots if you have a product, service, or business that you want to discuss during the show. There's also an open mic segment for those who just want to hop on and share during the show. There's an option for everybody, and of course the viewers, we need you, so definitely come through. There's 4 spots available for anybody who still wants to participate in this month's showcase. You can sign up through the link in our bio. Go to intellects.com, and those options are there. We have Meeting of the Minds Mondays coming up this Monday, and we're going to be talking about being a generator and what that actually means. We have our Meeting of the Minds one Monday a month, and depending on if we have to do a part 2 or part 3, we might have a couple that month. But we talk about anything from art to business to self and everywhere in between. If you have any topics that you would like us to discuss that we have not, go back on our page, go back on our YouTube channel, check out the topics that we've already discussed. And if there's anything that we have not that you want to add, or if you want to host, definitely connect with us. You can email, you can DM us, so that we can add you and your topic in the queue, because we're here to serve you. We also have Q&A Wednesdays, one Wednesday a month, where we pose a question of the month, and it may be a part 2 here and there, but we just want to gauge you and get to know you a little bit better, apart from being artists, because that's not just what we do, it's not just who we are, right? We're more than that. So we want to engage with those other sides of you, right? To get to know you a little bit better. And this is also a time for you to ask us anything that you would like to ask us. You can put in the comment section, the question box, or you can submit your questions ahead of time through our email, intellectsapc@gmail.com, and you'll be the first thing that we open up with. Whatever questions that you have, we will answer them right away. All right, but there's a chance for us to get to know you a little bit better. We also have Freestyle Fridays, open mics every Friday. We have an event. Second Fridays is Battle Art, where artists go against each other, battle it out. The viewers vote, and whoever has the most votes wins and picks the following month's theme. So we're still on Hero versus Villain. Next month we will pick our winner, and we'll have a new theme for the next month. And you also get to win some funds, all right? So check it out. If you're an artist and you want to participate, definitely come. Second Fridays. Third Fridays, we have our Art of War, Art Awareness Fundraiser, where we raise awareness for the beauty, necessity, and uniqueness of art, as well as raise funds so that we can come to a place near you to go from virtual to in-person mini concerts. And you don't have to wait till Third Fridays to donate. You can donate at any time. We have Cash App, we have PayPal, we have Zelle, we have Venmo. We have so many different options. You can email us, DM us, go to our website, click the link in our bio. There's many different options for you to donate to help build this platform so that we can give you many different things to help serve you so that you can be your better self. Okay, and then also we have our feature segments, Fourth Fridays, where we spotlight an entrepreneur doing their thing in the community that deserves their flowers while they are still here. All right, so stay tuned. This Friday, you will see our featured guest. All right. We also have promo options. We have books. We have merch. We have Intellects, a Place for Entrepreneurs podcast in season 3. If you're interested in being featured, definitely check out our previous seasons and our previous episodes on Spotify, on Anchor, on YouTube. We are visual and audio this season, so if you are interested, definitely connect with us so that we can add you on the list. But stay tuned, because we have so much great content, great things that we have in store for you. We have our Spotify store up and running for any of our products or services that we have. You can go there to grab it. You can also go to our link in the bio, go to intellects.com. Everything is there as well. We have merch, we have books, we have voiceover options, we have our art and business seminars that are out. You can go to our YouTube channel and check that out. We have so much going on, y'all. But if you want to stay up to date on all things intellect, subscribe to our email list. It is free $99. We also have member fees, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all things that we have going on. Again, I'm your host, Intellects, founder and CEO of Intellects Artrepreneur Agency, the Indeed for Artists. We connect you with so much, from resources to experts to networks and platforms, to promote you so that you could be the best you that you could be in your unique artistry. And we do that to the best of our ability. I want you to remember that you are uniquely designed and one of a kind, so don't let anybody stop your shine. Nobody could be you but you, so make sure you're uniquely, beautifully, and artistically you, that you do you, live you, love you, and crush it too. Alright? Don't let your upbringing affect how you view success, because you can be successful at any age and at any level. Alright? Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, I hope you have a great night and an awesome rest of your week. Until next time.